It's not a crypto winter for some. Joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is Rodrigo Vicuna. He's CFO of crypto infrastructure firm Prime Trust. They just announced in the past few minutes that they've raised about $100 million. Welcome, Rodrigo.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Congratulations. And we'll get to that in a second. But before we do, of course, we have to ask what's going on in the markets. People want to know. They're seeing Bitcoin pull back a bit from the 21,000 level. It's nowhere near, thankfully, for those who are long, it's nowhere near that 17 and change that it was just a few days before. What do you think is happening right now? Do you think that we've lost a lot of the sellers, or do you think that there may be even some space down for us to hit? Should people start to get nervous about just staying in the 20s?
Well, I think a lot of interesting things are going on within the market, and certainly the market has hardened a little bit. This is the first kind of downturn that we've had where we have a quantitative tightening period versus a quantitative easing period. But in general, I would say investor sentiment is still really high, and you're seeing a number of announcements come out within the space where investors have a lot of high conviction in the space. And so that's why we're really excited about the fact that we're announcing an over $100 million Series B. And I think we're still seeing a lot of that institutional love come into the space.
The institutional love has come into the space, but crypto in many ways has been a retail game. Do you think that the retail traders have been spooked by losing so much from the 68,000 level down to 20? It's a lot of money for people to lose, and especially, how retail markets often act is that people buy at the highs and sell at the lows. Do you think that that's going to have a long-term impact in the demand for crypto, at least over the next several years, as it'll be marked as this kind of thing that burns people's money?
At Prime Trust, we see ourselves as kind of like a nexus point of adoption, and that's kind of a proxy of what we find for investor sentiment. We find that people are still continuing to enter in the market, they're still looking to build, and they're still believing in the long-term prospects of crypto. And especially as kind of an infrastructure player, we see that traction continuously growing. It's slower than perhaps 2021 as a broad macro comment, but in terms of where we see people building, where we see people investing, I think the long-term prospects are up and to the right.
Rodrigo, maybe you could talk to us a bit about the raise. So it comes at a very interesting time. We are in the bottom barrels of the bear market, hopefully the bottom. But so tell me how this came about and what you plan to do with the money.
Yeah, sure thing. How this came about was we started thinking about kind of the core clients that we were servicing, and we were finding that we were continuously taking on bigger and bigger swaths of the overall industry. And so we started the raise, found some fantastic partners, fantastic investors, and what we're really planning to do is invest in three key things. One, grow our ecosystem. Two, really push our institutional IRA product more broadly into the community, which will help with investor adoption, with retail focus, especially within the retirement world. And then three, broaden our support for tokenized assets, just more broadly throughout the ecosystem.
And what has been very fascinating is that, just in terms of looking at the news, we saw that Prime Trust reportedly terminated its partnership with Celsius last summer during a crypto slump over concerns that it was endlessly rehypothecating assets. Could you talk a bit about, what you foresaw at Prime Trust with Celsius?
So the main reason for us is we constantly look at kind of the ecosystem we're building and where strategically we want to have clients. Our goals are to really get clients with really strong payment rails, to really expand kind of high transactability and so on. And so we're constantly kind of grooming whether folks are within the ecosystem and what's kind of the right fit versus not. And we landed at the decision of terminating the relationship last year.
What was the concern specifically with Celsius?
I think I don't really have any more insight in terms of publicly what's out there, but more so we make decisions strategically in terms of what's the right fit for us. We want high payment rails, a lot of transactions, and that's really our core focus. And so for clients, we try to think, where can we add the most amount of value and what's kind of the right fit for what we're really building.
All right. Well, Rodrigo, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on this raise. That was Prime Trust CFO Rodrigo Vicuna.